All right. Welcome back to another Elevated Marketing Dad podcast, where we simplify complicated digital marketing topics to help your business grow. My name is Jennifer Denny.
And I'm Brenna Jackson. Hello, hello.
And we are from Elevated Marketing Solutions, and we're live every week. So if you're new, welcome. But if you're coming back, we certainly appreciate you coming back. So I think today's topic is pretty important. There's a lot of market volatility going on right now. And, it's related to some things that are going on, maybe politically or economically, but really in a grand scheme, when you think about your marketing, there are a lot of things that can cause volatility in your marketing, and diversifying your lead source or where you're marketing at is very important. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely. Yeah. And that's the thing, though, with anything marketing, but anything industry wise, volatility is normal. It's going to happen in some fashion, some form. It's normal.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely isn't the exception. It's the rule. Uh, there isn't a day that I don't wake up as a marketer and there's some sort of craziness going on, and I've got to shift this way or that way. And, as much as you can be prepared, like that volatility is very normal. So, you know, the place I think about, like with lead sources, is channels or different types of marketing. And, you know, being in too far in one channel versus the other channel is very dangerous.
Yeah. Well, and just saturation in general.
Yeah.
Especially, I think for me, content really comes to mind with, AI now. There's this abundance of content that's being produced and is causing a lot of oversaturation.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about Google ads, and that it's at the very end of the funnel where people are directly searching for what you have to offer. And there's this huge like saturation of everybody wants to do Google ads. And I'm certainly not telling you not to do Google ads. I'm just telling you, if you go up funnel a little bit, then those, when they do come through on Google ads, they're going to be more likely to convert. And so that, you know, having that diversification of different things is going to work out for you.
For sure. And consumer preferences are always changing. We know this with even social media these days. There's all these trends. Well, there's also consumers on these platforms. And so
They have
whether they're being
preferences.
influenced or, yeah, their preferences are always changing as well.
Yeah. So you're constantly diversifying. So some of the things that like cause volatility is definitely the platforms. You cannot rely on an organic social media algorithm. It's constantly changing. There's something new that you just, talk about, new trends that come in there. The algorithm changes, SEO changes. Like there's a lot of volatility that happens with these platforms.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and where we see some of those changes happen is also with the privacy and policy shifts. We've seen
Mhm.
this with Apple. We've seen this with different audience targeting on different platforms, Facebook, for example.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a workaround there as it continues to change.
Yeah. There can also be misfires. I mean, no marketing team is going to get it 100% right. And so if you have an over reliance on maybe one person, one tool, one tactic, then you're going to have some misfires because you're not out there just looking for other things that maybe can be different. Maybe there's some bottlenecks in your, production of content because you just have one person doing it and you don't have multiple people doing that. You've always got to have a backup, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we've talked about this with algorithms and the oversaturation, but what comes with that too can be some sort of creative burnout.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's the sense of your audiences just, it's fatigue. They're saying the same thing over and over and over again. And so then they kind of get a little blind to that. And I mean, there could be creative burnout even internally as a team sometimes. You know, you got to overcome that burnout regardless of where it's coming from.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, more minds are better than one. If you've got just one person that has to like do your marketing over and over, they're just going to get kind of burnt out on it. I definitely agree with that. Competitor pressure, so that's always going on, but maybe some new competitor comes in out of nowhere, or maybe, I mean, you have like a complete turnover in your industry where something new and revolutionary comes out and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I was just in my groove and now I've got to change everything. So that certainly happens.
Yeah. And I think one more that I think of too are definitely seasonal changes. And that's something that we know is always going to happen. We've got 4 seasons, people. It happens. But that does come with changes. And not only with those seasonal changes too, but you have to factor in these platform changes, privacy changes, industry changes. Um, and it just kind of builds on top of each other.
Well,
I always
yearly changes too. Like things are just less predictable than what they were before. So, last year might have been a great year, but this year might not be. So you've got to be diversified for that. It's just that strategic thinking, like
Mhm.
why to diversify. You can't all be in one channel. It's going to cause, entire funnels to collapse because you essentially have no funnel. You're
Mhm.
focused all on one channel.
Yeah. And we've said this so many times for many years now. It's you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It can become more predictable when you're diversified into multiple sources.
Mhm.
You might find a channel that does become kind of your winner, but that does not mean that's all that you do is that one channel. You have that channel, and then you're also doing other channels as well.
Yeah. Well, and with that multi-channel, I guess, strategy definitely comes with more visibility and more brand equity. You're going to be on more platforms, so more people and different people are going to see you. We've got to remember that our audiences are all on different channels sometimes.
Mhm.
And whether it's top of funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, they're going to be at all of these different channels.
And get in front of more people, more repetition, that's gonna lower your acquisition per cost,
Mhm.
on a lead. Um so, you know, let's just talk about, like, different, like, channels, like, I think of Google as high intent, like, I'm ready to buy if we're dealing with just Google search ads. Now, Google Performance Max certainly has some variation in it where you've got YouTube and display as well as search and Gmail ads. And so even within Google, there's some diversification versus like social for the most part, unless you're talking about something that is kind of a retail type item where, people just buy quickly, like clothing or shoes or things like that, it can be more of a longer, definitely organic is very high up in the funnel.
For sure.
And then emails like relationship building. And so your mix really has to like reflect where buyers are mentally and like not just what's trending.
Definitely. I think that's the key there is just not what's trending. That's I think part of the oversaturation. There are so many trends and gotta stick out from that.
Yeah.
I think too, diversifying your content formats. So, and I mean, we've also talked on this many times too, but you've got your written content, you've got long form video content, short form video content, audio content, hello podcast. There's testimonials, there's downloads, quizzes. There are so many types of content pieces and formats that you can, kind of play with, and you should be. That's
Yeah.
really important.
Offline versus online, we've certainly done that as well. I mean, you shouldn't be completely online. You need to be offline as well. And so you got to have a diversification of that. And then, I think we've kind of said it, but misalignment is dangerous, or over reliance. You get too much at the top of funnel and not enough at the bottom of funnel, or too much at the bottom of funnel and not enough at the top of funnel, then, you just don't have a funnel.
Yeah. Well, and maybe some of your messaging is a little bit misconstrued with your intent. Maybe, for example, you've got some top of funnel messaging, but you've got bottom of the funnel call to actions. And then that's, kind of withering away maybe some of that ad budget, or clicks, rather.
Yeah, speaking of budget, that's really to structure that. You should have 70% on your quote unquote proven channels, which when you first start, you might not know what that is.
Mhm.
20% on scalable opportunities, and another 10% on experimenting. You know, more channels gets better data and better decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not to say, even with maybe some of your proven channels, that there isn't still testing involved with that, because we're
Oh, yeah.
always testing. But I think that's a pretty good breakdown of maybe how to structure your budget.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly, with our own clients, take a diversification approach. You've probably heard us say this before too, but it's not the last beer that you drink that gets you drunk in marketing. It's all the beers.
Mhm.
And we believe in multi-channel approach. It all starts with content, but then once you have the content, you need to, promote that content, and you need to promote it in multiple channels. But even with the content, like we said, multiple types of content. So it's
Yeah.
multiple channels. It's aligned to the buyer and what their buyer cycle is. Definitely content centric. And, you got to be nimble by design, and ready to be adaptable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we've hit this one pretty well.
Thank
You
you.
need to be diversified. So, if you enjoyed listening today, you can certainly subscribe to our newsletter. You can follow me, Jennifer Denny, over on LinkedIn, or you can head over to our website at elevatedmarketing.solutions. All right. Take care.